Hi, good evening. I'm Diane Shapiro. I'm Director of Safety and Education for ABATE. And as you can see, I'm all by my lonesome. I've been abandoned. Anyways, I just got done at Taft High School, and we're going to be going back there. I'm not sure when, but we will keep you apprised, and everybody is welcome to volunteer. And if any Southsiders are available on Thursday at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be at Morgan Park High School on the south side. Anyways, we're going to read to you the mission of ABATE. The mission of ABATE of Illinois is to preserve the universal right to a safe, unrestricted motorcycling environment and to propose and advocate actions that can be taken by elected officials to protect and conserve the natural resources of the state of Illinois and ensure through professional management that sustainable use, recreational opportunities, and enjoyment of these resources is available for this and future generations. And thank you for listening. Anyways, kind of some sad news. We had to cancel the membership party last Saturday because of the weather, and if any of you were out in it, I was out in it. It was miserable. It was brutal. It was awful. It was like the skies opened up. So, Oscar, we're going to reschedule the meeting, the membership party for sometime in December if the brewery will agree to it.
We're trying for after the December meeting at the brewery.
Okay, I wasn't clear from Pat on that, but we definitely will do something for the membership because we appreciate all of you. And again, you know, it comes right back to, and I've mentioned this numerous times in the newsletter when I write it, we're a constellation. Yeah, some of the stars are a little brighter than others, but none of us can shine without the whole constellation. So remember, we're only as strong as the weakest of our members. And we've got a big election coming up. You know that ABATE is politically active, and we're going to let you know which of the candidates we will be supporting and why it's so important for you to get out and ask your friends to vote for them as well. We don't want to lose our freedoms. And this is a problem here, unfortunately, in Illinois, is that once a right is taken away, good luck getting it back. So we fight to preserve the rights of all of you in the state of Illinois to enjoy motorcycling and outdoor activities. None of us are paid. But we're active, we're always paying attention to legislation going on in Washington and in Springfield, which of our legislators is trying to take away our rights and which of our legislators is trying to support our rights. And we just encourage everybody to be politically active. If some of the candidates that ABATE supports are circulating petitions, see if you can get your hands on them anywhere in the state of Illinois, whichever elected officials or candidates challenging elected officials who are trying to take away your rights are running for office. Because no candidate running for office really should be unopposed, unless of course they support legislation that we support, so then they're good people and we'll leave them alone. We're not going to do we're not going to do anything that is detrimental to our own self-interests. Anyways, I mentioned I was at Taft High School earlier today. And I don't know, some of you are listening. We all know somebody who has been injured in a motorcycle crash. And we all know people who have been killed in motorcycle crashes and car crashes. Fatalities are not limited only to motorcycles. You can get killed in a car, you can get killed in a truck, you can get killed on a bicycle, you can get killed waiting on a street corner by somebody taking a corner too close. So anything can happen. But the one thing I noticed in the class today, that there were 3 people who had relatives who were killed in motorcycle crashes. And we got to talking about safety, and all these kids have yet not even been to the range. They were so interested. They're not like normal hormonally challenged 15-year-olds. They were really attentive. They asked questions. They watched the video. They asked questions about the video. They really wanted to participate and learn about riding a motorcycle and learning about riding a motorcycle from other people. So even though they're still 15 years old, they're going to be drivers on the road one day. And we're going to see them in their cars, even though we may not know them personally. But they're young drivers, and they need to understand the significance of a driver's license. It's a privilege. It's not a right. So we were talking about DUI, and we were talking about the cost of insurance. We were talking about a whole wide range of subjects, and that's why we really, really encourage as many of our members as possible to come to the classroom presentations, because I can only speak from the experience of a rider, not a driver, not a rider, not the actual motorcyclist. So that's why it's really important for those of you who have the time and the interest to please volunteer. It's so rewarding. It's so wonderful. The teachers ask questions too. And often the teachers come in and they participate with their own stories, like experiences they've had while riding a motorcycle themselves or being a passenger or knowing people who are motorcyclists. Kind of like little pointers for the kids and reminding them that in order to get your motorcycle license, you first have to have your Illinois driver's license. And we direct them to the program through the university system for motorcycle riding. But it's just so exciting, and it's so nice for these young people to just be so rapt and attentive, and actually even staying after class to talk and ask for information. They want to know about ABATE, they want to know about the things that we're involved in. And I actually gave a couple of the students whose parents were motorcyclists copies of the little cards where ABATE had gotten the dead red light bill passed to keep in their wallet. It's interactive, it's participatory, and the kids just love it, and they tell the other students about it. And we find that by going to the various different classes in the different schools, that they come back to us and say, yes, so-and-so from the other class told us about your class, meaning the ABATE class, not my class. It's not mine. ABATE is an organization. I am just the Director of Safety and Education for Chicago. I don't want my words to get mistranslated. We're a team. Every one of us on the board is a team. Every one of us who are members is a team. And we all work together for the strength of the organization, from the north of Illinois to the south of Illinois, to the east bordering Indiana, to the west bordering Iowa. And we have to stand together against unfair legislation that is directed intentionally at motorcyclists to chip away at the rights that people have earned to enjoy the freedom of the road. And everywhere we look now, there's a red light camera, a blue light camera, a speed camera. It's getting to be rather like even driving a car is no longer pleasurable. There are so many scenic back roads that we've discovered, thank you very much, because of all of the red light cameras and blue light cameras and speed cameras on the main roads. So that's why when we do the awareness run, right, the people who are arranging it go ahead to make sure that the path that we're on doesn't have all the impediments like speed cameras and red light cameras and blue light cameras and road construction, which, gee, there's not any of that here in Chicago. If anybody was on the road anytime today, and I've been on the road all day today, every road was packed. And it was interesting because you could see people totally not obeying the rules of the road, and I did not see any motorcycles. Maybe they got the message that it's when you're driving in that stop and go kind of traffic, you don't want to be on two wheels. It's too dangerous, and people aren't paying attention. They get angry, they get frustrated, and that's another subject that we talk about in school, road rage. And it's pretty hard not to get some kind of road rage when you're in the car, when the radio is playing only commercials, and you can't get satellite reception if you have a satellite radio, or if you don't have a satellite radio, the music you're listening to keeps getting interrupted by commercials and you get distracted by the commercials. It's bad out there, and it seems to only be getting worse. That's something we need to talk to our legislators about. This dang traffic that seems to be stop, stop, stop. There's no go here. It's kind of like a parking lot everywhere. I think even right now, at this hour, I heard on the radio that traffic on Lakeshore Drive is packed from Monroe all the way up to, I want to say Addison. I could be wrong on that. But that's what goes on in our city. And yeah, my heart goes out to anybody who's on two wheels. Really. This is not a motorcycle-friendly city. And it's getting to be a little less motorcycle-friendly. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything, Oscar, about the Lakeshore Drive legislation about motorcycles and noise on Lakeshore Drive? Excuse me, you live in a big city, there will be noise. You live by O'Hare Field, there will be airplanes, there will be noise. And the people that we're dealing with, I haven't heard anything from either about anything. Maybe it'll just go away. Hopefully, because Lakeshore Drive it's a wonderful ride, especially if you're on two wheels. It's nice. It's beautiful. It's right along the lakeshore, and pull off at Recreation Drive and go look at the lake. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of sad to think that we have legislators who want to destroy fun and take away pleasure. It's very sad. Very, very sad. So remember, you have a right to vote. Don't forget to vote. Support the candidates that ABATE endorses. But let me get to a little bit about the classroom presentation that I do. I still don't know how to work this thing. So Patrick's going to have to show me how to do it. Because I could show you the video that we show in the classroom. But we start out the class by talking about just opening up, talking to people, finding out what level of driver these students are, what grade they're at, if they're in the sophomore year or the junior year, how far along have they gotten in driver's education, what part of the course curriculum have they approached, and we talk with the instructors beforehand to see if maybe, okay, this presentation we'll do the video and talk about the things that we're supposed to in the classroom, but maybe talk about the cost of insurance and talk about the expense of a DUI. If you get a DUI, there's a fact book for the kids to read from. And DUI, like we tell the kids, and I was an adult probation officer for 25 years, and I did do adult investigations on juvenile offenders. And I have done one of the underlying charges in vehicular homicide for some of the juvenile offenders I dealt with. The DUI was one of the multiple charges. Murder, aggravated battery, drinking alcohol, minor drinking alcohol, whatever the charge was, DUI and stuff like that. That does not go away. That cannot be expunged. And so it's all the more important for these kids to understand that your juvenile record, not in all cases, but in many cases, can be used against you when you want to get car insurance, when you apply to school, whether it's to college or trade school, or if you want to go into the military. Look, we've all done stupid things as a kid, but we didn't get caught. And 30 years ago or so, when I was learning how to drive, a DUI was a slap on the wrist, you pay a fine, and that was it. Today, computerized records, they follow you, and a juvenile record may be used against you as an adult up until you're 25 years of age. So a lot of things have changed since since we were young, but these kids are walking into an adult world where they're still children, but they're expected to think like adults, and let's face it, a 15-year-old is not going to think like an adult. In fact, if I may break into a little bit of human physiology, the soft spot on the baby, the fontanelle, these bones don't even seal until you're 25. So these are things that you want to be sure of when you're talking with these young people, is to realize that they have to accept the fact that although they're still under 18 years of age, they still can be charged as adults. And it's really kind of unfortunate. And what legislator can we talk with about why felons in Illinois are 17 and older when you're 17, you're technically not legally responsible for your signature? Any legislators out there listening? Doesn't make sense, does it? But it's what grabs the kids in. And when people like Deb Cuppen and John Cuppen and a couple of others have come into the classroom, they help flesh out things for the students. And it's not just me, for example, in the classroom, it's other people, and we're engaging people in an active conversation. And through that active conversation, we impart adult wisdom on young people, and they will carry that memory with them for the rest of their lives. I still remember my driver's education class and things that I learned in my driver's education class, because it was drummed into our heads about the responsibility of driving, that the vehicle that you're driving is a heavy piece of machinery, and you always want to be sure that it's in good working condition, that all of the lights and lenses on the car are in good working condition, that the lenses aren't broken, that the windshield isn't fractured, that, well, back in the day, there was always the left mirror, but sport mirrors seem to be standard only in the last 25 years. They weren't standard back in the day. And the rear view mirror. And we talked to them about a tutorial that they have on YouTube about how to adjust your mirrors to be sure that you've got a good 360 degree view as much as possible. And even tips like even to get one of those little convex mirrors that you can stick onto your rear view mirrors to help with the blind spot. So these are things that we take for granted. We've been driving for so long. It's like, you know, if your motorcycle is good for the street, or if it's just a dirt bike, and how to make it street legal and stuff like that. A lot of these kids may not even know these things. So if any of you ride a dirt bike and a street bike, it might be nice for you to come into the classroom and do kind of a tutorial, because they're really interested. They want to learn. They want to know. They're getting out there and they're eager and excited about getting onto the roads, and they're also nervous as heck, because there are so many things, even as a motorcyclist, to look out for. But again, back to the classroom, we talk about the DUI stuff, implications of, you know, what can happen to you, about your car getting impounded and you're having to, these are all the worst case scenarios. The car isn't always impounded, but these are the things that we talk about with the students. Things that we as adults, we know, but they don't. There's still that blank slate, that tabula rasa, that innocence that hasn't been corrupted yet by driving in Chicago traffic and experiencing true road rage on the Eisenhower. Or on the Dan Ryan, where people drive like absolute maniacs, pass you and then slow down. Yeah. And you wonder why there are shootings on the highway. I know, don't go there. But, you know, in all seriousness, the thing we want to instill in these students is a sense of responsibility, sense of adult responsibility, that You're in that car and you're driving 2,000 or more pounds of metal. You could hurt yourself or somebody else if you're not careful. And it's so important to obey the rules of the road. Pull over when you see sirens. If a policeman is pulling you over, pull over. Keep your hands on the wheel. Don't get out of your car. Things like that we know, but these students have no experience with, and none of them have even been really behind the wheel of the car yet. They've only been passengers in the front seat or in the back seat. And so it's enlightening, and it's a wonderful feeling to be able to feel that you've made a difference in the life of somebody else. And for them to look up ABATE on the internet and to look up the various motorcycle videos that there are and how to get involved actually in riding a motorcycle if they're interested. So these are the things that we do when we go into the classroom, and it's actually quite a lot of fun. I wish we could get more volunteers than just the few that we've had in the past, but we understand that a lot of you are employed. But it's really doing a good deed, and you'd be surprised at how good you may feel when you're in that classroom and the kids are asking you questions that you go like, oh, pshaw, I knew that. But they don't, and they want to know, and they want to know more, and they want to be part of the adult world, and they're still too young to be young and too young to be old. Their parents are still taking care of them, but they can't even get a job for themselves because of their age. So that even is a little more of an imperative when you talk about how much it costs for a DUI, and you start talking about attorney's fees and court supervision and being supervised by pretrial service, and the fact that Illinois has zero tolerance and all sorts of things like that. And they realize, red light ticket, $100. How am I going to pay for that? Speed camera ticket, $100. How am I going to get the money for that? Well, of course, your parents are going to be paying for these tickets, and they will probably take it out of your allowance if there's any left after you're done. So these are just, simple things, and why we enjoy going into the classroom and meeting the instructors, because the instructors are kind of fun people too. And they have questions, and again, like I had mentioned earlier, they have input as well. So it gets to be kind of like a group of people having a discussion, but they're all learning something at the same time. So I guess nobody's calling in tonight. No calls? No calls? Is there any legislation you know of that I should know about?
Nope, sorry.
Okay, because I haven't been updated on anything. Our meeting is tomorrow night at the brewery, so probably Kevin or Pat will be there with updates on legislation in Springfield and in Washington, D.C. And let's see. So it's tomorrow night. Meeting is at 7:30 at the brewery. Oh, caller! Yay! Okay. Which one do I press?
Yeah, good evening. I wanted to encourage you, Diane, to run for the same office again as you did, as you have before, because we do need somebody here in Cook County who understands, particularly that issue you mentioned about the speed cameras around the schools in particular. It's a money grab, because at one time, it was more realistic, a 25 mile per hour limit, and it was when school was in session. Now you're just going to get a ticket in the mail, and they'll say, well, if you're only like 6 miles or under 11 miles over, it's only going to be this amount or that amount. But they're going to say, no, you're not going to take the time to go down and contest this. School could have been out for 2 or 3 hours, and you're still going to get stuck with that ticket. People don't even go down those roads anymore, and it's like every day is a traffic jam when there's hardly any traffic on the road because everybody's going so dang slow because they're paranoid that they're going to get this speed tickets. And again, they need to start cutting money, and you're a responsible person. You know how to make cuts, and there has to be more cuts made, and people in office who look out for everybody, from the person who's thinking about getting a license, whether it's for a car or a motorcycle, and for the adults who are stuck living with this, because they're just like the soda tax. They're just looking to get everybody in every way they can. And the people who always get punished are the people who've always obeyed the rules. We're already paying extra in our insurance for the people who drive without licenses or insurance. It's always, they always punish the people that they know that they can get the money
Sure.
from. So again,
$30 for a driver's license and $101 for your sticker.
Sure, it's a joke. It's a joke.
It is, and it's unfortunate that we have legislators in office who don't give a darn about any of us. But the show is almost over. Come to the meeting tomorrow night at the brewery, 7:30. I just want to thank everybody for listening. But yeah, I've thought about running for office again, but at the same time, it's almost like you're beating your head against a wall. And it's unfortunate, but hey, the voters, I don't think people actually come out to vote. I think they just resign themselves to the fact that we live in a totalitarian regime. And it's very sad. But we'll see. There's always tomorrow. And I'm pretty thick-skinned. So we'll see. It's a couple years away. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm going to say goodnight to everyone and just say thank you for being a member of ABATE. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for your support. And together, we will succeed. Thank you again, and we'll, I guess, see you down the road. Good night, everybody.